There are lots of financial talking heads out there, but there's only one who's local to Tucson. Welcome to Saving with Silverman. Mark Silverman is a certified financial planner, and he's here to help you with your financial questions. Today, we'll try to educate you about the financial world and encourage you to think of solutions to your financial goals. So, let's get started. Saving with Silverman starts now.
This is Saving with Silverman with Mark Silverman of Silverman & Associates. I'm Rod Stutz, and Mark, of course, the founder and the managing member of Silverman & Associates. Wherever you are in the Tucson area, you can be helped by Mark Silverman. He's been doing this for a very long time, a certified financial planner professional, and he can certainly help you as well. 520-333-7601 is your number to call or text if you'd like to get in touch with Mark. 520-333-7601. One more time, 520-333-7601. Mark, let's talk about lessons that we can all learn from the world of medicine. And if you take a look at the world of medicine, we can learn some valuable lessons that can be applied to our financial lives. One thing that is pretty much true in either case is even if you feel fine, you know, men don't like to go to the doctor, right? I mean, I hate going to the doctor.
Sure. I mean, who does?
Yeah, exactly. And women are much better at it than we are for some reason. But even if you feel fine, it's usually advisable to get periodic checkups, and that applies to physical checkups and financial checkups as well, right?
It's always important to get a checkup, whether it be the doctor or be your financial health. You know, it's interesting now, a lot of people are starting to call again, because of the fact of the volatility that we've seen in the market the last couple of months. You know, when the markets are going up and up, you know, people tend to not focus too much on it because they think everything is going fine. They don't realize how much risk they're taking. When they do notice the risk is when markets start to, get a little sideways and go down a little bit. That's when people start to get a little skittish. But, it does make sense to, if you're working with an advisor, you should be meeting with them at least once a year. Depending on the type of relationship, it may require more than that. And so, just to find out, to make sure that your goals haven't changed, to make sure that your investments are still appropriate given the risk that you're currently at and the risk that's going to keep you on track for your goals. So, it is important to get checkups with your financial life just as well as your health.
Another thing that we do as guys is sometimes we try to self-medicate or self-diagnose. You think maybe, hey, I'm feeling a little bad, so I'm going to get this over-the-counter medication and I'm going to be just fine, or you may Google your medical situation, whatever it is. That's not really a good idea. Sometimes you need the help of an expert, and sometimes when it comes to the doctor, you need a prescription to help you get past something that's bothering you. And the same thing is true in your financial life.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain things that can be done to improve your situation. If let's say you're retired and maybe you're short some income and maybe the investments that you're in are not providing enough income. Maybe the investments need to be repositioned to create the income that you need to get you through life. So the same thing can be true with a lot of different things. And maybe that there's a need for long-term care. Maybe there's an issue there that if something were to happen, you don't have enough money to cover long-term care. And what's the solution there? Maybe there's something that can be done in those regards. There's lots of different things. Everybody's situation is different. Some people have addressed certain things. Some people haven't addressed other things. Some people haven't addressed anything at all. But it's important that you have somebody take a look at everything that you're doing and give you their opinion as far as what can be done, what your options are, so you can have the type of retirement that you've always wanted.
You're listening to Saving with Silverman. He's Mark Silverman. I'm Rod Stutz. And, in the medical world, Mark, different doctors are out there with different specialties. You don't want to go to, let's say, a general practitioner if you have some issue with your toe or whatever the case may be, or maybe you do. Maybe you want to go to your family doctor, but you may need a specialist. And the same thing is true when you're planning for retirement, your financial planning. You need to meet with an advisor who specializes in a certain thing. And sometimes a specialty of some advisors isn't right for your situation. And I know that you know all about that, certainly.
Well, I mean, different advisors do different things. Some advisors out there, and I use the term advisor loosely, some are there just to sell, and you're here listening to me on the radio, so a lot of people are aware. There's a lot of people out there who are just simply trying to sell you an annuity with their safe money strategies and you can't lose, that sort of thing. And so they're just kind of a one-trick pony where they're just trying to sell you a product, which may or may not be in your best interest. There's other people out there who are just brokers, who are just trying to sell things, for a fee or commission. but they don't really help your situation. They don't really analyze what needs to be done, looking at all the different pieces of your puzzle. And, in full disclosure, I am securities licensed as well as insurance licensed. However, I'm also a CFP, a certified financial planner professional. And with that comes the training of looking at the investments, looking at the insurances, looking at the estate plan, looking at the tax situation, looking at the healthcare situation, all these different pieces of your puzzle, and making sure that everything is being done the right way. And if we need to have specialists involved, pointing you to those people that can help you in that arena, or if you already have those people, we're certainly happy to work with those people as well with you. So it's really having somebody that can look at your entire picture and make recommendations that's going to be in your best interest, rather than sell you something without knowing what else is going on.
I might also add here that Mark Silverman is a fiduciary. That means that he always has your best interests at heart, and some of these other people out here aren't. And, maybe you have an advisor already that you're happy with and everything is going along fine, you think. Sometimes a second opinion can be helpful, even as a second opinion can be helpful with medical issues as well. Maybe you need a second look with some fresh eyes at your financial situation.
Exactly, Ron. I mean, we're not the right fit for everybody, but I can tell you the clients that we do serve, we do an excellent job. And the reason is because we truly care and we truly are comprehensive. We're not just trying to sell you something like a lot of other advisors are. But it's important to understand that you work with someone. I mean, I can tell you when people come meet with us, it's a totally different experience than what they're getting typically with their current advisor or with somebody maybe they meet off the radio as well, because what we're doing is so different. We're really trying to address the problems rather than just trying to, look and see what we can sell you. And so it's a totally different type of process that we follow. I'm probably the least salesy person you probably ever met. So I'm not here trying to just, to sell you something, which is unfortunately what a lot of people in our industry do. It's really advising and giving you the right advice and doing what's right and what's in your best interest to make sure that you're not going to have the mistakes we've seen other people make.
Certainly not going to have any products pushed off on you, and Mark's not going to put any pressure on you at all. I mean, that's absolutely the case. So you don't have to worry about that. It's going to be a very helpful get together. But when someone comes into your office and they sit down and they decide to talk with you about their individual situation, what happens, Mark, when they come in there?
Well, just like you get a second opinion on your health, like we just discussed, why wouldn't you get a second opinion on your wealth? So whether you're do-it-yourself or already working with someone, this is now your opportunity to go through this process that we call the financial physical. Do you know what your investments are costing you? If you're still working, are you on track to have the type of retirement you've always envisioned? Or if you're already retired, do you know if you or your spouse are at risk of running out of money while trying to maintain your current lifestyle? And I can assure you, as I said earlier, I will not be trying to sell you investment or insurance products. I repeat, this is not a sales meeting. In this initial meeting, we'll address issues of importance to you, provide an overall view of your situation, and give you some general advice on what needs to be completed. This consultation is designed for both individuals as well as couples. However, if you are married, it is mandatory that both spouses attend this initial meeting. So whether you're still working or already retired, this is a great opportunity to see what it looks like to work with someone who is actually required to have a fiduciary responsibility to look out for your best interest at all times. This meeting will be valuable to you whether or not we decide to work together. There is no cost or obligation for this initial appointment. However, it is best suited for people who've saved at least $250,000. And as you probably are aware, I am a certified financial planner professional, and I believe the only one locally here on the radio in Tucson. And the going hourly rate to meet with a CFP such as myself can cost as much as $300 an hour. So this is a tremendous value and chance to finally get your financial house in order and keep it that way. And your only commitment is an hour or so of your time. Just as you want to reach a healthy life from a physical standpoint, you also want to reach and maintain great financial health. So our financial physical is just what the doctor ordered. We do try our best to help everyone, however, our slots fill up quickly. So I can only guarantee a complimentary meeting to the next 5 people that contact us right now. Please don't procrastinate, because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
520-333-7601. That is the number to call or text if you prefer. 520-333-7601. Take advantage of Mark Silverman's offer for the financial physical. No cost, no obligation. Just come in and have a conversation. It will be enlightening for you. I promise you're going to learn a lot. 520-333-7601. That is 520-333-7601. 7601. That'll put you in touch with Silverman and Associates in Tucson, serving all of southern Arizona. Wherever you are, come on in, get acquainted. 520-333-7601. Call or text. This is Saving with Silverman.
Do you ever feel like you need Superman to help you with your financial crisis?
I've got you.
You've got me! Who's got you?
Well, we're not superheroes, but we can save the day when it comes to your finances. Keep listening to Saving with Silverman.
You're listening to Saving with Silverman with the one and only Mark Silverman. If you'd like to check out the website, go to savingwithsilverman.com. I love that website address, savingwithsilverman.com. And Mark Silverman, of course, is a certified financial planner professional, the founder and the managing member of Silverman and Associates. 520-333-7601 is your number to call or text to get in touch. If you're texting, make sure you put in your first and last names, and someone will get back with you. You don't have to talk to anybody today. Just go ahead and make that phone call, and you can work out the details later of when you might want to come in. 520-333-7601. One more time, that is 520-333-7601. You know, Mark, there are people out there who don't ever mean what they say, really, and may not necessarily say what they mean. Some people in the financial world speak in code, and it's important for you to learn how to crack that code. And I know that you're a straight talker, which is one of the good things about coming in and having a conversation with you. But let me give you an example, and you tell me what this so-called financial advisor is really saying, okay? Let's say that someone says to you, we've experienced a significant market correction this month. What is he really saying, Mark Silverman?
That means that your portfolio has lost money. I mean, in simple terms. And, you know, a lot of people probably have seen this the last couple of months. And I'm not saying that there's some silver bullet where you should be in a situation where if the market goes down and you're in the market, that you're not going to lose anything. But I think if it's done correctly, like we do, we manage the risk appropriately, which means that we understand what your downside number is, how much risk you're willing to take. And then from there, we're able to manage the portfolio based on that. What we find is a lot of people are taking a lot more risk than they're comfortable taking. You know, given this big run that we've had in the market up until the last couple of months, we've seen this large run. So people tend to be a little bit more aggressive than maybe they should be or want to be. And so a lot of people don't realize that. We have an exercise that we do where you can actually go in and understand what your risk number is and then plug your portfolio into it without having to move investments and show you exactly how much risk you're taking in relation to how much risk you say you want to be taking. And what we're finding is about 80% of the time, people are taking more risk than they think they're taking or they want to be taking. So it's important to understand that this is certainly a great time to do this, given this volatility and everybody out there saying that this volatility is going to continue. It's not going away anytime soon.
Mark, if you're sitting down with a financial person and that person says to you, we're forecasting significant upside potential for this particular stock, what is he really saying?
Well, this tends to be somebody that's strictly a stockbroker, and I come from that. That's where I started out of college. I was working for one of the firms here in Tucson, and a lot of times the firms have underwriting deals or things like that with a particular company, so they have a buy, and so what they're trying to do is they're trying to unload that stock to their clients. And so you don't see it as much as we used to see it back in the 80s and 90s, but certainly it still does take place. So just be careful of that when somebody's trying to recommend a stock to everybody that they talk to.
Okay, we're talking about what they said and what they really meant. And here's another one for you. Your portfolio has a very high alpha, and I'm worried about your potential for reverse dollar cost averaging once you have to start your RMDs. Now, I don't even know what I just said. What kind of a message can you get from that if somebody says those words to you?
I think what you're trying to say is you throw a lot of jargon out there, and some of it makes sense, some of it actually doesn't. But I think the point that you're trying to make is if somebody's not speaking in a language that you can understand, or they're not talking to you in a way that you can understand, it does you no good. One of the best compliments I get all the time is people say, well, I've listened to you on the radio, and one of the things I really like is you make sense. You speak in my terms. I can understand what you're saying. And that's really what it's about. It's trying to take this complex thing that we're doing and making it simple so you can understand. And we'll get technical if clients want to, but for a lot of our clients, they want to just know the basics and know that somebody that they can trust, that they can understand what the need is, and they're able to express that, and we're able to answer them in a way that they can understand. And I think that's one of the best, like I said earlier, compliments we get is being able to explain things to people in a way that they can understand and they can comprehend it, rather than speaking and throwing all this jargon out there that they can't understand, and it doesn't do anybody any good.
Well, certainly the lesson from all of that to learn is you should work with someone who's clear in their communications, someone who will give you straight talk, someone who will say what they mean and mean what they say, and not try to bamboozle you with fancy talk or some other way of putting something that you can't understand. Mark, I know that there are a lot of people out there listening to the show today and who listen on a regular basis who would love to come in and have a conversation with you. What happens when they come in?
Sure. Well, whether you're a first-time listener to the show, you've heard me for a long time, if anything I've said makes sense or resonates with you, this is now your chance to come in and have a conversation with me. I don't pawn you off on somebody else. Here in my office to go through this process we call the financial physical. I can assure you I will not be trying to sell you investment or insurance products. I repeat, this is not a sales meeting. Rather, we will discuss your values and goals in a way, honestly, you probably never have. This consultation is designed for both individuals as well as couples. However, if you are married, it is mandatory that both spouses attend this initial meeting. So whether you're still working or already retired, this is a great opportunity to see what it looks like to work with someone who's actually required to have a fiduciary responsibility to look out for your best interest at all times. And as part of the financial physical, we will discuss your cash reserves, debt if you have any, insurance, all types, and how to best allocate your assets. And we'll even benchmark where you are now financially compared to where you want to be, so you have an even better perspective of what's required to achieve your goals for the reasons that are important to you. This becomes the foundation for developing a plan that gives you the highest probability of making that happen. This meeting will be valuable to you whether or not we decide to work together. There is no cost or obligation for this initial appointment. However, it is best suited for people who have saved at least $250,000. And as you probably are aware, I am a certified financial planner professional, and I believe the only one locally here on the radio in Tucson, and the going hourly rate to meet with a CFP such as myself can cost as much as $300 an hour. So this is a tremendous value and chance to finally get your financial house in order and keep it that way. And your only commitment is an hour or so of your time. We try our best to help everyone, however, our slots fill up quickly. So I can only guarantee a complimentary meeting to the next 5 people that contact us right now. Please don't procrastinate, because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
520-333-7601. That is 520-333-7601. That is the number to call or text to get in touch with Mark Silverman. You can just call in. Let's say you're driving in your car right now and you don't have your calendar in front of you. That's okay. That's no problem at all. Just call ahead and make that call as soon as it's safe to do so. And then you can work out the details later of when you're going to come in and when this get-together is going to take place. You don't have to do anything specific today. You don't have to have any numbers with you. You don't even have to talk to anybody right now. Just call in, leave a message, and a member of Mark's team will get back with you. Again, 520-333-7601, 520-333-7601. Call or text. Mark Silverman at Silverman & Associates in Tucson. Wherever you are in southern Arizona, come on in, get acquainted. You're listening to Saving with Silverman. I'm Ron Stutz with Mark Silverman.
Picture this. Your financial statements have come in the mail. What's going through your head as you open them up? Maybe all that financial jargon is flustering. Maybe the numbers are confusing, or maybe those red arrows are leaving you in a funk. Don't base your future on a monthly letter. Keep listening to Saving with Silverman. Learn what true financial planning really looks like.
Thank you so much for being with us on Saving with Silverman today. Mark Silverman, of course, the star of this show. And Mark can be reached at 520-333-7601. That is 520-333-7601. Call or text. Mark has a process called the financial physical, just like you would go to the doctor for a physical, just a checkup. Come on in and have a conversation with Mark Silverman and have him check out your portfolio and find out what kind of shape you're in. You may be in better shape than you thought. You're not going to have to do anything. You're not going to have to turn over any money or become a client even, but just come in and get acquainted. There's no obligation at all and no cost. 520-333-7601, your number to call or text. And Mark, it's always fun to get questions from our listeners. And we have a really good question today from Elizabeth in Sarita. And she says, when I retire next spring, I'm going to have about 75 accrued sick days that they'll have to pay me for. That tells us one thing about Elizabeth. She's a very healthy individual. She never misses because of being sick. Sounds like it. Yeah, it's amazing. Can I use that money to buy myself a new car as a retirement gift to myself? Or do you think I should invest it?
Well, Elizabeth, that's a great question. I think what it comes down to is a lot of times when they pay you for the accrued sick days, they're probably going to be taxable at some point. So I don't know how much you're going to be getting. You can certainly use that money if it's paid out, but you just want to make sure that you still have enough cash to pay the taxes if some of those days are going to be taxable or not. But you certainly could do that. Get yourself a gift or whatever. If you want to invest it, you can certainly do that as well. It really depends on what you're looking at doing. I think the important thing to do is if you are retiring next spring, the most important thing is having a financial plan. So whether you decide to call us or call somebody else, you want to make sure somebody's going to take the time to put together a financial plan that's going to look at everything that you're doing, looking at how much you're going to need in retirement, the things that you want to do, your goals of what you want to accomplish while you're retired, all these sorts of things, and putting them together to make sure that you're not going to run out of money, that you're going to have enough money to do all the things that you want to do and all the things that you're going to have to pay for as well, including healthcare and those sorts of things, to make sure that you have enough that's going to last your whole life with a cushion as well. That's the most important advice I can give you.
Well, Elizabeth, one thing is that Mark can't really give you specific advice as it relates to your situation without knowing more about you. And certainly there are a lot of other questions that may go along with this. The best thing to do is just come in and have a conversation about it. And again, Mark can get more specific because we're all different. There is no one size fits all, and everybody's situation is unique. I have another question here from Ian in Saddlebrook. And Ian says, my long-term care policy says it will pay out a maximum of $250,000 during my lifetime. Do you think that's enough coverage?
Well, Ian, great question. I mean, the fact that you do have something that you're ahead of most people don't have any type of coverage. The cost right now here in Tucson, Saddlebrook, I know is on the outskirts, but we're still considered Tucson. But the cost last year here in Tucson for a semi-private room was $100,000 a year. So if you figure the average stay is, say, 3 years, that's $300,000. So it should cover, most of that. However, medical inflation is going up anywhere from 4.5% to 6% per year. So depending on what age you are, if you go in 10 years, it's going to be a lot more than that, et cetera. So the fact that you have something, and most policies, whether it's traditional long-term care or using a rider with a life insurance policy, are not meant to cover the full amount. What they are meant to do is cover the majority or a portion of it, so it helps offset some of that. So I would say that the fact that you do have something, you're ahead of most. But if you want to come in and have us run an analysis and see what you might be looking at, depending on what age you go in, some people might want to see what the numbers look like if they were age 80, for example, what that would look like. We can make those projections for you.
Two things are for sure. One is that long-term care is really expensive, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but they also don't even want to think about it. And second of all, as you mentioned, Ian is ahead of most folks because most folks don't really have a good plan for their long-term care if that situation should arise. One more question today, Mark, from Red in Green Valley. And Red says he never worried too much about the market when he was working, but now that he's retired, his stomach is absolutely tied up in knots every time the Dow has a bad day. And he wants to know if he should just move everything to cash so that he doesn't have to worry too much. What do you think?
Well, Red, I mean, certainly with the volatility that we've seen like the last couple of months, that's understandable. I think, moving to cash is not a good long-term solution or even a short-term solution because the fact you're losing purchasing power and cash isn't paying hardly anything. I think what's important is we understand, where you are as far as your comfort with risk, what's your risk number per se, and then where are your goals, and making sure that risk is appropriate to help you achieve your goals. I don't know if you're still working, or did he say he was retired?
Let's see here. He says he is retired now. Yeah.
Okay, so you are retired now. So if you are retired now, hopefully you're not investing the same as when you were working. You should have probably adjusted some of your investments. Not always, but a lot of times people tend to become more conservative once they reach retirement. And so we shift these investments from maybe more on the growth side to more income generating. Not always, but that's a lot of times what happens. So hopefully if you're working with someone, they've done that with you. If they haven't, or if you haven't done anything different since you've retired, that's a problem. But, being retired and worrying about your investments, even if you're still working and worrying about your investments, is no way to live. So it's important that you're working with someone who's there watching over your investments, that's managing the risk appropriately, so you are comfortable and you can enjoy your retirement rather than sitting around looking at the computer stressed out about if you're going to lose too much money or not.
Certainly read a lot of other questions to be answered, and Mark would be glad to sit down with you and talk about your situation. Same thing for Ian and Elizabeth and all of our other listeners out there. In order to get specific, Mark needs to have more information about your situation, and certainly you want to get to know him as well, so you might want to give us a call right away and arrange for that to happen. And I know that Mark is really anxious to meet you and to help you because he's helped so many other folks. Mark, I know that folks are going to place phone calls to you. What happens after that takes place?
Well, Ron, we've had some really great questions, and I just want to encourage everybody, if you go to the website, savingwithsilverman.com, click on the media tab, there's a place to submit your question, and maybe you'll get to hear it here on the air. But now is my chance to ask you a question, and can you answer it honestly and objectively as possible? Aside from the happy hellos and how's the family, and aside from the occasional lunch or golf game, I get it. I'm as much friends with so many of my clients, they become true friends over the many years. But I think the question has to be asked, especially in light of the stakes. Is your current financial advisor truly adding value beyond a doubt? And I'll repeat, is your current financial advisor truly adding value? It's a valid question, as a friendship or just relationship allows you not to be in a position to ask those critical questions. Are you talking about taxes? Are you talking about Social Security and income and risk and diversification and insurance and estate planning and healthcare? Are you having those annual reviews? But hopefully it's more frequently than that. Is there detailed follow-up? Is there accountability? If you are, if all of that is happening, congratulations, because you've got a great relationship, and send your financial advisor a thank you. But if you're not having that, if you're not feeling the value, if you're not having these in-depth conversations, then you owe it to yourself and really to your family to have a conversation with someone else, because if you don't, you're the one that's going to suffer. You're the one that's going to pay the cost, and it'll cost you in more ways than you'll ever know. Let us prove to you how we can help your money go further in retirement. Let us show you with our financial physical. I believe you'll be surprised at what you'll learn, and this won't cost you anything. Give us a call or send us a text to 520-333-7601, 520-333-7601. That's 520-333-7601, or check us out online at savingwithsilverman.com. That's savingwithsilverman.com. Please don't procrastinate, because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
520-333-7601. You can call or text 520-333-7601. Mark Silverman, again, certified financial planner professional at Silverman & Associates. The website, savingwithsilverman.com. And the number again is 520-333-7601. If you prefer to text, then that's cool too. 520-333-7601. I'm Ron Stutz, along with Mark Silverman, and you've been listening to Saving with Silverman. Mark, have an outstanding week.
As well as you, Ron, and I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen. If we could be of help, please let us know.
Join us again next week for the next edition of Saving with Silverman.
Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC is a registered investment advisor. Information presented is for educational purposes only and does not intend to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities product, service, or investment strategy. Investments involve risk and, unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Be sure to first consult with a qualified advisor, tax professional, or attorney before implementing any strategy or recommendation discussed herein.